Materialism in this economy. Does it even make sense? Talk about it. Okay, sure, you work hard, you got your degrees. We're raised to think, a good life is based on, being fruitful, going out here earning money, buy what you want. Don't misunderstand me. We all like money. But we are in some different times, it seems. And we're in a time where even people with quote unquote good jobs are feeling it. Once upon a time, remember, it seemed like for lack of a better term, the lesser than jobs were the ones that had to suffer. The blue collar jobs. While the corporate people stand around the water cooler, talk about the game or whatever, and everything was cool. But with the emergence of AI, it's funny how it seems like the blue collar jobs are the ones that are kind of outlasting the corporate jobs. Now I'm sure at some point they're gonna have AI mixed with robots. And I'm sure, but it's a lot of things that robots still can't quite do. So even the blue collars got a little bit of time left. But the white collar people, it just seemed like they letting them have it. And it's like it's being shown that anybody can get it. But I wonder how many people are saying, okay, I can't escape this economic slavery that we're in. We all a part of it, but how can I try to prepare myself? I don't know the statistics of people that have the 6 months, reserved to pay your rent and all of that stuff, but it just seemed like people just out here spending. Sometimes I'll be wondering, like, dang, am I just that bad with money? When you see somebody, got a suburban, they got a new suburban, that's about $1,000 payment. And you got two kids with cars, your wife want a car, y'all going on vacation, you got a pontoon boat, you got a motorcycle, you got what you call it, a Can-Am, you got all this, like, I'm like, am I just that bad with money, or are people just really ODing living off of their means? You know what I mean? And don't misunderstand me, this ain't about judging. I just wonder, like, what do people think about when they're home? Like, are they doing it for saying, well, shit, I'm gonna die anyway. I might as well just have fun. Or is it like, I'll worry about it later? Or are really people still that secure, thinking like, hey, my job's gonna be here because I'm a such and such a blah blah blah. I got a job with 5 syllables. I mean, and it just make you wonder, like, does anybody take this serious? You know what I mean? Because I remember I was in the airport, and I remember this lady came over. She was a really, really nice lady. But ironically, she was saying she had just got laid off. She was a corporate trainer. Whatever that is, I guess you train corporate people. It was just like you couldn't even, you can't even. It's not even about racism at this point. It's just about anybody can get it. White people catching it too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like you just wonder: are people trying to create their own income, their own businesses, or are people just saving, or are people just living a more frugal life, or at least being conscious of it? And then of course you have the so-called influencers, trips to Dubai and all this extra stuff. And I'm like, somebody fronting. It's like, come on, man. And it's and I mean, it's neither here nor there with how you choose to live. I'm just wondering, do people, when they go home, do they be like, yo, there's something going on and I got to try to prepare myself? I really don't need all of this materialism. It's like, for what? Remember it was a few years back where the Gap was selling. Was it the Gap? Somebody come in the comments and check me on that. But when Kanye was selling his clothes, he took them off the rack and put them in a trash bag. Say, no, you have to dig through them. Pick out your own size. And you're looking for shirts with a hole in it. Now, these are the same shirts that if they're in your closet with holes in them, you'll throw them away. But you'll go out and buy this same shirt for 100 or however much it costs. And it doesn't even have a logo. Just the holes, I guess, represent the Yeezy brand. You're going to dig through a trash bag. If that wasn't such a slap in the face, like, watch, people will buy anything if you put a name on it, put a high price tag on it. So it goes to show, are people really that void and that search for validation? Even with homes, it's like the American dream is to own a home. Now, sure, don't get me wrong. Look, having your own space is great. But, I mean, how many people are prepared for, your air might go out. Once you get the unit changed, now you got to get the coils changed. That's about $10,000. God forbid, you may have it's all kinds of stuff you got to worry about. And what's the word? Encroachment and these ordinances. You got this house you paying $200,000-300,000 for, but you still have somebody from the homeowners association telling you what you can and can't do. But supposedly this is my house and I own it. And it's just like the irony. And then you go to sell it. Let's just say you can't sell it. You may have a job offer. You may just want to up and relocate, but you got to wait to sell it. It's just so like I just look at material stuff different. Then it's like if you buy yourself. I mean, if you got a family, of course it makes logical sense. You got to provide room and board for your family. But if you by yourself, or maybe just you and your husband and your kids are grown, what do you really need a 4-bedroom house for? Half of these rooms you don't even go in. You ever go in somebody's house and they got the dining room that nobody's not allowed in? You like, so you're here for? I mean, I don't know, man. Just as I get older, the more I'm realizing that I've become a minimalist. And don't get me wrong. Look, let's be clear. Hold up. Let me be clear. If I could afford a Bentley, sure I would have a Bentley. However, the the need for a Bentley, it doesn't validate me, or the want for a Bentley doesn't validate me. But even in my means now, I'm just like, well, it's more importantly about being able to just have room and board. Not having to wait for the due date to pay your bills is enough for me. Having food in the fridge. Of course, you want to live life. I mean, you want to go on a vacation. You want to do regular stuff. This isn't about just enjoying yourself. But at what point do you feel like I'm ODing? I'm doing too much. You know what I mean? And because it's some real turbulent times, and it seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse. Thanks to AI, then we got this war. Then we got a certain somebody in office, and it's just like, man, I mean, it's kind of scary out here, man. So once again, these are just my random thoughts. I just want to know, am I the only one that be looking at stuff like this? And a lot of times you wonder, am I being approved? When you don't want to hang out, you got all these sneaker balls and this black tie affair, white tie, all kinds of tie affair, whatever. You be like, is it psychologically the same reason why people get high of something? It's like a vice. You just want to unplug. And sure, your intent may be pure. You don't want to be at work and at home all day, every single day, weekly. But I don't know, man. It just seems like it's some real trying times, and a lot of people are really being forced to go inward and be like, what am I trying to accomplish? Get your good job. It hangs in the balance of a corporate swing, a corporate mood swing. We're deciding to go in another direction. So your degree means nothing. All of those hours you put in, days you stayed late, days you let somebody talk down to you all day. Days good and I got bills. Doesn't matter. And it's funny, a lot of jobs, when they want to fire you or lay you off, often they don't give you a 2 weeks notice. Some do, but they usually don't. But when you go to leave a job, I have to leave a 2 weeks notice. It's like, kind of like, why? Don't give you 2 weeks and they about to fire you. So once again, man, these are just my random thoughts, man. Please, somebody come in the comments. Just let's just chop it. I refuse to believe I'm the only one. Of course, in my circle, like most of us, I don't really have these conversations much. Everybody's in this facade of, I'm lit, feeling like they're exempt. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I mean, my life is good. It's not bad, but I'm very aware that I gotta stay on my pivot. You know what I mean? So yeah. Come in the comments, man. Holla at your boy. Let's just chop it up, man. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one.